Hello, hello, hello. Here. Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to the Tuesday edition of the Cassandra Clary Morning Show. It is Transformation Tuesday. And I am so glad to be back in Texas, to be back with you guys and have the opportunity to once again bring the morning show and one of my favorite topics, Transformation Tuesday. As you guys remember, we have been working with themes for over a month now. So, although every Tuesday we talk about transformation, this Tuesday we're talking about it from the perspective of systems. We began with, what did we begin with? I think we began with transitions and how people move from, one phase of life into another and how that can bring on its own difficulties. You were comfortable where you were, and now things are a little different and you have to adjust. And with that adjustment, we call that mastery, getting comfortable and mastering the place where you have arrived. Maybe you're an empty nester, maybe you're at a new job, maybe you've purchased a new home, maybe you're recently married or divorced. Those are all transitions. Maybe you're going into some new training. Whatever the case may be, you've transitioned from what your norm was into a new season. And when you transition, it takes a little bit of time to get your feet under you, to get comfortable again, to feel like you've got this, your way around, and to get that comfortability all over again. And so that's the mastery phase. And after you've mastered, I believe from there we went into visualization, seeing yourself excelling in that new space, being really clear with you what success looks like and how you want to see yourself in that space, mastering it, moving forward, being at the top of your game, whatever success is for you, getting really, really clear. And visualization helps us to gain that type of clarity. And then we went from visualization to where did we go next? That may be where we stopped. My intention had been after visualization to go into, no, I think we went into goal setting. We did. After visualization, we spent a week focused on goal setting. And my intention before life began to really life and I got good and busy and I've been traveling, as you guys know. We were stuck in New York last week, with all the tech issues and bad weather. And so life has been throwing at me, at us. I mean, I'm not immune to it. So we've all been dealing with what we've been dealing with and making the most of it. So the place I had intended to go next was implementation. Um, After you've set your goals, then it's time to get busy, implementing those goals, taking the necessary actions to accomplish them. But I was reading in some of that downtime, um, and I went back to Atomic Habits by James Clear. It's a book I really enjoy, and I'll go back to the audiobook version and just put it in when I'm somewhere and I can just listen, and it always inspires me, it always reminds me and gives me good ideas. And I remember him talking about systems. So this week, systems will be the focus, of the week. And when we talk about systems, what we're talking about is, a framework that supports your daily actions or activities and your long term goals to keep you on track and help you to make consistent progress. So we all have goals, but why is it that you made your goals and you're sticking to them and things are happening and I'm struggling to keep mine? I keep setting the same goals. year in and year out. Every beginning of every new year, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. And then by March, I've fizzled out, right? If that's your story, why? We often focus on, desire and digging in and staying motivated and focused and all of those things, and they're all important. We talk about them every day of the week on the morning show, but sometimes what's missing is a good system, having a system in place that supports your success, right? What is it that you need around you? How do you need to show up? And I'll tell you a quick story, and then I'm going to pitch it over to Brian for a few minutes while I go take care of something else. And you guys may have noticed that my picture is there. I woke up to tech issues again this morning, just like I was having on Friday, and I'm actually having to do this from my phone. And for whatever reason, I can't get my video to work from the phone. So my computer keeps restarting. My laptop, for whatever reason, is not picking up my app. My tablet is not picking up the shows that I've created. It looks like there's nothing there, and the phone doesn't have video. So I had to take the best that I could do, right? And it's more important that we have the discussion than it is that you guys actually see me. So I didn't want to use that as a reason for us to postpone. You guys have been wonderful as I've traveled and have endured the replays, and I certainly appreciate that. So I wanted to be back live and moving forward. So I see you guys watching. Drop your comments so I can greet you properly. Because again, I'm working from a much smaller screen today than usual. I'm actually working from the old iPhone. So I'm going to pitch it over to Brian in just a minute, but I wanted to talk to you guys about a system, which you can see the definition of a system there. Do you have the things in place that are going to support your success? And then our quote for the day is: success is the sum of small efforts repeated day in and day out. Day in and day out, you are consistently doing the things that are going to move you towards the desires that you have for yourself and for your life. So those were the two things I want to keep in mind: the quote for the day and systems. I have some different piece parts of what a good system is, and we'll go through that in detail when I come back. But I really wanted to get this kicked off. Welcome you guys back. I'm excited to be here, and Brian is going to take care of you guys while I jump to a phone call that I need to take quickly. Kim, I see you there. Grand Rising. Hello, Kelly. Welcome back. Kenya Matoya. I bet I really butchered your last name, but it says, I have been holding on to that book for years. It's in my face right now. Haven't opened it. Open it. Open it. Nothing happens by chance. I don't believe in coincidences and accidents. You heard me talk about this book, and it's right in your face for a reason, Kenya. So now is a great opportunity for you to dig in. And it may not be no more than a couple of pages a day, just depending upon what your schedule allows. But I promise you that as you turn each page, you'll get something from that book. It really, the reason it's called Atomic Habits really ties into what this quote is talking about: the sum of small efforts. An atom is the smallest, particle, right? The smallest molecule. But man, does it make a big impact. Everything is built up of atoms. And he's saying make atomic habits, small, consistent habits repeated over time is how we really get that transformation, those lifelong changes that we may be looking for. Those small, consistent habits versus the big. Sometimes I talk about a base hit versus a home run. A base hit is just as important. It keeps you in the game. It keeps you advancing. It keeps things moving, right? But when we all applaud and are so excited about the home run, but those base hits consistently moving around that field, you end up scoring as well, and you take people with you oftentimes. So don't despise small beginnings. Small actions will get you there, and you build up the muscle along the way to really be successful in that space and to hang on to it and expand it. When we have these big windfalls, we're often not prepared. We don't have what we need to maintain it. But when you take those small, consistent efforts over time, I guarantee you, as you evolve, as you expand your territory, as you try new things, you are prepared. You've got the muscle to handle the weight and to continue to move that thing forward. So, those small, consistent steps will continually not only progress you towards your goal, but prepare you to manage that goal. So, Brian, those are a couple of things. Let's see. She said my last name has been butchered my entire life. It's okay. Matwire. Matwire? Give me a thumbs up if I got that right. My last name, my maiden name is Swinigan. So you can just imagine. I'm right there with you that it was butchered quite a bit too. But I love to have the opportunity to get it right. And since I can't hear you, I am so grateful that you spelled it out because your girl was hooked on phonics. I was hooked on phonics as a kid. And so that actually makes perfect sense to me now. I can get it right. Matwire. All right, Brian, I need to jump onto my meeting. So could you come in and continue the conversation around systems? And I'll be back as quickly as I can, and we'll break down and share the thoughts that I have around systems. If for whatever reason I run long, the banners are there, and you can start walking them through systems. I will pick up wherever you guys are when I get back. Okay?
All right.
Thank you.
You are more than welcome. Cassandra gave us a really good start when she talked about taking it one step at a time, the little bitty steps. Oftentimes we are told about these grand oso events, these brilliant strategies to make your goal happen. But I know for me, when I first started my entrepreneurial journey many moons ago, I found myself in a place where I would set a goal, and then the goal would, it just linger out there. It would never get accomplished. I got frustrated. I said, screw the goal. We're not going to do this, and I just go on to something else. But a few years ago, I say a few years ago, it was more than just a few. Some time ago, I learned about putting systems into place. And I think that it's important to understand what a system is before you can actually put a good system into place. So, a system is nothing more than a set of processes clumped together, right, to make one thing happen. An example that I use all the time, because it was a system that worked for me, was building my LinkedIn community. So when I first joined LinkedIn, it was all Rolodex and never really getting to know anybody, just trying to build your resume so you could get a job. And I didn't, I had maybe, I don't even think it was 100 people in my circle at that time. And I saw the potential that LinkedIn held, and I saw a few people building up these immense audiences, these massive circles. And I obviously I didn't think that that would happen overnight, but to even think that you could get a small fraction of an audience that size, 1 million or 2 million or 3 million, even a 1% of that audience is a feat in the digital space. So I knew at that moment, if I want to hit this number, not only do I have to come up with a target, a goal, but I've got to come up with a way to get there, right? So look at a system kind of like your car, right? When you're going to work in the morning, you got to get to work and you're going to take your car to get there. But your car is broken down into multiple processes. in order to get you from A to B. Your car's got an electrical system. It's got a fuel system. It's got an entertainment system. It's got a comfort system, right? It's got a safety system. All of these subsystems are processes that make one larger system work. On LinkedIn, for me, I used a system that I called DMOs, right? Daily methods of operation. So I would go in every day. And I still post all the time. But when I first got started, one thing that really stood out to me was the lack of engagement in the comments. So I started going in and commenting only on posts where I felt some sort of attachment, where I had some sort of passion for it. And I would look and search for posts for an hour every morning, according to the people that were already in my network. And I would comment on their posts. I would comment on posts that were 2 or 3 lines down in the feed, lines down in the connection. And I would just build on that every day, right? I'd comment on the comments. I'd comment on my comments. I would share the comments. This led to me amassing over 10,000 connections on LinkedIn. And I started with less than 100. Anybody can do anything they want to do, but you have to be realistic about that goal. You have to not only set small incremental goals, but you have to take small incremental steps in order to get there. You can't just go from A to B, right, without the in between. And the in between is where that system comes into play. Systems are quintessential to your success. Systems are how everything is ran, right? A template, believe it or not, is a system. When you contract to get a new house built, the contractor does not just go on the fly and start going out and building. They get a blueprint, right? Then they hire a team, and that team knows what their part is. If you're building a house, you have to build the foundation, then you build a frame, then you come in and you do the electrical and the plumbing, and then you do the drywall, and then you do the finishing. Systems are a part of our daily lives, whether you know it or not. Everything that you do is a system. When you get up in the morning, whatever you're doing every single day, that routine becomes your system. If you want a different outcome, you have to put something different into the system. You have to change that DMO. You have to change those processes. If you're writing a book, it's no different. You have to have a system for writing a book. I was talking with a client a few days ago, and they were saying, well, I really want to put this book out there. I've got everything in my head for the book. I know the title, I've got the chapters. Okay, so let's start off with that, right? If you're going to write a book, let's use that as an example. Your book is nothing more than a system. The book itself is a house. The title is that house, is that building. The chapters are the rooms. The sub chapters are the furniture in the rooms, right? So you start off with the foundation, which is the title. Then you start to frame up the house, which is the chapters. Then you start to fill the house with the things that you need in it, which is the furniture. That, I know, sounds like, oh man, you oversimplified that. There's no way that's that simple. But it really is, right? When you look at it from a perspective of, if I put this system into place, it's not going to happen overnight. So when you start thinking about building a house, when you start thinking about writing a book, when you start thinking about going to and from work, just because you snap your fingers, you're not going to get to work in the blink of an eye. You're not going to build that house overnight. There's a system, there's a set of processes in place that are required to get you from A to B. And there's a timestamp, right, on each one of these processes. How long does it take to do this particular step? The smaller the step, the more you can build on it. Cassandra mentioned earlier about going to the gym and working out, and how you build up over time. You build those muscles up. Don't expect to go from A to B in the blink of an eye. It's almost impossible. You have to build as you go. You have to have these processes, these systems in place in order to make things work, in order to make it happen. So let's talk about these. Hold on, I gotta find them. I'm gonna find them. System frameworks. So a system, again, is a framework that supports your daily actions and long-term goals, right? So that you can make consistent progress. It's not overnight, it's consistent, a little bit at a time, right? If you're going to build a system, these 10 steps will help you get there, right? Having clear goals. If you have a clear goal, it helps you to stay focused. I made a post in one of our pages the other day. Without having a plan, you can't make a goal. You can't make a goal because you don't know where you're going to. So you have to have that plan. You can't put a system in place if you don't know where you're going to, right? If I know I want to go to Europe, I can't use my car system to get there, right? I either have to use a plane system or uh, a water vessel system, a boat, a yacht. So you have to know where you're going in order to put the most effective system into place, which brings us to number 2, effective planning. It helps you anticipate the resources you're going to need for your systems, right? If you say, oh, I'm going to work, and you've got an hour commute to and from work, half of a half of a half of a tank of gas is not going to get you there, right? That's going to be 60 miles. Depending on what kind of car you have to take into account the mileage usage, the fuel usage per mile. So you have to have a more fuel in order to get there. The same thing goes for the systems in your life, right? If you decided your goal was to lose 50 pounds, right? What resources are you going to need to make sure that happens? The reason you have to plan this out is so that you don't look at yourself as trying to get there. You have to reframe your mindset so that you're already there, right? It's the difference between a person that wants to lose weight and a person that sees themselves as already being fit. The person that sees themselves already being fit looks at where they are now and says, okay, this is what I need to do to get to where I want to be. I am, right? Not I want to be, I'm already there. So if I'm already there, what did I do to get here last time? A person that sees it as, oh, I want to get there. They see it as being something unattainable, something a goal that can't be reached. So you have to plan effectively so that you reframe your mindset so that the resources you need are already seen as yours. And number 3, consistency. Consistency builds the momentum, right? And creates uh that routine for your system. Consistency is built on effective planning. There's no way you can be consistent if you don't anticipate what tomorrow, what the next minute is going to bring. In order for you to put a system into place, that system has got to be consistent. If it's not consistent, then it's not a system, right? It's a one-off. Adaptability. Adaptability ensures flexibility in times of turmoil, right? When you're faced with obstacles. I talk to my uncle about this all the time. Your biggest asset is being able to adjust. Life is full of adjustments. Your system has to be adaptable, right? If you break down on the side of the road on the way to work in the morning, you've got a backup system in place. You've got a spare tire, you've got AAA, right? Or you've got a friend you can call and say, hey, come pick me up, take me to work. The systems that you put in place for your life, your business, have to have that same adaptability. That builds these routines and habits, right? And automates these actions that you need in order to keep your system going. Reducing decision fatigue. Believe it or not, you can become fatigued by using a system without being able to adapt, without it being consistent, without having effective planning in place, without having a clear goal. You can have a system and you can still not hit your goal if the system isn't sustainable. You have to be realistic about what you want to do. And the best way to keep realism in check is to keep a positive attitude, positive actions, right? Positive actions are based on positive attitudes. How do you get to building these positive actions? How do you do these routines and habits? By using tools and resources that support your systems, that enhances your efficiency, right? And helps to keep you organized. And having feedback loops allows for continuous improvement. Having somebody you can go to and talk to about your system, having key players, stakeholders within your organization, right, that help keep you in check and will let you know this is not working. This was right on point. This is something we need to keep doing. Having that unbiased feedback is imperative to the success of your system. And monitoring evaluation. Now, this is something most people really, they just hate this part of it, right? Most people don't like to go back and review the work that they've done. I don't know if it's because they don't believe in the work that they've done, or they don't want to have to do more work if it doesn't work out. But monitoring and evaluating your system, I mean, I'm saying you're not going to be able to stay on track and make adjustments if you don't know how far you've come, what you did to get here, the mishaps and missteps along the way. I've got at least two clients that hate to watch the videos from their podcast, right? Because they hate going back and reviewing themselves on video. They hate to go back and look at the nuances during the taping. They hate to hear their own voice. They hate to misstep. That's all part of it. It's supposed to be fun. You have to monitor and evaluate in order to make adjustments. So just keep in mind, even though that's probably one of the most regretful parts of building a system is having to go back and say that didn't work, I've got to go back in and fix that. It's probably one of the most advantageous parts of your system. So monitoring evaluation, mindset and motivation. I think we could have started with mindset and motivation, right? This sustains the drive and determination that you have to meet the demands of your system, right? To meet the goals of your system. Without the right mindset, you're not going to keep going back in and building this system. Let's keep this in mind. This is your system. This is not something that you purchased out of a store. These are all systems you built to fit your life, to attain your goals. Without mindset and motivation, you're never going to get there. It's never going to happen. You have to have the mindset to stay motivated. You have to have the mindset to get motivated, right? And then you have to have the mindset to go back and fix it when it's not working. So you have to be driven and determined that your system is going to win. It's going to get you to where you want to go. It's going to get you from A to B. But how are you going to do that when you're faced with obstacles, right? When you have to adjust, when the feedback that you get is not positive, when the things that you've put in place to build your system fail. Mindset and motivation, right? That's staying positive. And that goes to number 10, building a support network. Building a support network. When everything is going bad, when you can't talk to yourself, right? Who's that support network? Who's going to be there to help you build your business, your life, your motivation, your family? Who's going to offer you that sense of support? Oftentimes we look at support networks as, well, I don't want to tell everybody my secret. I don't want to tell everybody my plans. And I agree wholeheartedly. But even if it's just one person, you have to have somebody else you can lean on, that you can take your ideas to, that you can take your successes and your losses to, and they can help you review and analyze and, give you some assurance you're on the right path. No, you should deviate. You should do this and take it. You don't have to take it as law, but you can take it as guidance. You can use it to fill that void when your voice is negative, when your voice is telling you, no, you can't do this, you've been doing it too long, it would have worked by now. But the only thing you needed was one small addition to your system to make it work. Support networks, feedback loops, right? Mindset and motivation. All of these things build up the routines and the habits you need to create an effective system. Systems are so important. So important. Without a system, I would never, I couldn't be the dad that I am. I couldn't be the business magnate that I am. I couldn't be the, just the simple entrepreneur that I started out as. Without a system, none of that happens. You can't wake up every day as much as we would love to. And some days, I do it. Some days I just wake up, forget the system. I'm gonna do what I want to do today. But that's one day. 365 days, if you want to accomplish anything in life, you're not going to be able to do the things you want to do without a system. Everything runs on systems. Your life runs on systems. The world runs on systems. Cassandra was talking about her trip to New York last week and how the tech issues and the weather, all of that affected the airline systems, right? Everything shut down. Everybody's life was thrown in this blender of chaos, and it was all due to a fault in the system. Our lives are no different. If we don't have systems in place, if we don't check those systems, if we don't monitor those systems, if we don't upgrade those systems, if we don't monitor the upgrades, our lives are thrown into absolute turmoil and chaos. You have to respect the system. You cannot go through this life without having a system in place if you expect to get somewhere. Everybody wants to be somewhere in life, right? Some people just want freedom. Some people just want a bunch of money. Some people just want a happy family. Some people just want to be left alone. Whatever it is that you want to do in order to achieve that objective, you're going to have a system in place. You need to have a system in place to decide what your objective is. You need to have systems in place to set and build your goals. How do you know what your goals are? How do you know how to build a system? Earlier this morning, I released a post about new marketing tactics and how everybody talks about the new tool, the new tech, the new gizmo on the block. And at the end of the day, it all boils down to fundamentals. The fundamentals are the baseline for everything that's coming after that. One of my systems is building a content strategy, right? Without a content strategy, this beautiful array of conversation is non-existent. You have to have a strategy in place, a system in place to have these conversations. You have to have a system in place to build the content to have the conversations. You have to have a system in place to build the objectives that support the content, that initiate the content in order to have the conversation. And after the conversation ensues, you have to have a system in place to keep the conversation going. You know, what happens when you're talking to someone and they are not interested, right? Disinterested in whatever it is you're saying. The level of importance of that conversation is going to dictate what you do next. But you have to have a system in place in order to decide what happens next. What happens next? That's what I'd like to leave everyone with today. What happens next? Success is the sum of all efforts, repeated day in and day out. Robert Collier. That's what your system is. It's a sum of small efforts, repeated consistently, to help you stay on track and make the progress that you want in your life. That's all the system is. That's all the system is. It's a sum of small efforts, right, that support your consistent progress. I'm not Cassandra. I don't know how to impromptu the way she does and give everyone that warm fuzzy. I did the best I can do because I know systems work. I know everyone has to have a system. Cassandra talks about this in everything that she does. She talks about it day in and day out in this morning show podcast. She talks about it in her vision board training, in her 4-day challenge, the I Want to Soar challenge. She talks about it in her one-on-one consulting, which I'm privy to. Listen, without a system, everything stops. Everything comes to a halt when the systems fail. Without a system, it's complete chaos. Your life is chaos. If you want to start reaching those goals, if you want to start attaining those objectives, if you want to start a better life, put a better system in place. That's the Cassandra Terry Morning Show for today. Thanks everyone for joining us. I see you down there, Michael. Thanks for coming in. Thanks, Kenya, for the thumbs up. It's been a great day. It's been a great show. I'm learning. I'm practicing. I'm putting systems in place so that I can get better. Believe it or not, the Cassandra Terry Morning Show was part of my system. Oh yeah, I can do that. Sure, I can repeat it, Dinga. Let's go back and repeat what a system is. A system is a framework that supports your daily actions and long-term goals to help keep you on track and making consistent progress toward your goals. Basically, like Robert Collier said, it's just small efforts repeated day in and day out. That's what your system is. That's all it is. It is recorded. Please come back and join Later, you can watch the replay on YouTube, LinkedIn, and Facebook. And if you're part of the SOAR community, uh, Cassandra breaks down the 10 steps that she highlights. Sometimes it's a little less, sometimes a little more, but every day she gives you action steps to help you put those systems into place.
Did y'all go through the
Cassandra,
steps today, Brian?
you've got some amazing time, and I was just about to close out. Somebody was asking if it was this this feed was recorded, and I was just telling them where they could find it at.
Okay, got it. Yeah, I just made it back.
Perfect.
So I was trying to listen in and catch up with where you guys are, and I see the comments as well. Um, have you guys talked about the steps that go along with the system?
We did. We just
Okay,
finished.
awesome. So it sounds like y'all were wrapping up. Is that right?
That is correct. Yes. Yes. Yes.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much for carrying the torch today.
Oh, thank you for giving me the opportunity.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, those steps that Brian took you guys through, they were really to help you dig into what a good system is, so that you know how to go about creating systems for yourself. And before we sound off, I just wanted to give you guys one quick story from the book that I had mentioned. I'm not sure if Kenya is still here, but we were talking about atomic habits before I broke. And part of what he talks about is your identity. How do you identify? And he talked about the difference in someone was being offered a cigarette, and one person said, "No, thank you. I'm trying to quit." The other person said, "No, thank you. I'm not a smoker." They no longer identified as a smoker, so they were taking the actions and creating a system that allowed them to beat the nicotine habit and no longer see themselves as a smoker. Where the other person was, "I'm trying to quit," just from their language put themselves in a more difficult position. I've been checking myself all week long because I kept saying, we've gotten stuck in New York. Well, that's not a bad place to be stuck. I wasn't stuck in the airport. I was able to get a hotel, and so I was able to see a little bit more of the city than I would have otherwise because I was working. So just to illustrate, I say that just to illustrate how powerful our language is. If I really felt and believed that I was stuck, then all of my energy would be focused on being unstuck. And it would be, a struggle because it was things absolutely out of my control. No matter how stuck I felt, the planes weren't going to fly until they were going to fly. So if I kept seeing myself as stuck, I'm in a victim state and I'm having some difficulties. If I see myself prolonged in a city, then maybe I can think of some things to do to enjoy that city. And that's what I did. I rested. I don't get nearly as much rest at home as I did then because I didn't have any of my home responsibilities. I just had the job, and when that was done, I could be done with my day. So I slept quite a bit and caught up on rest, and I saw more of the city. Got to go to a few other places than I would have had time for. So I flipped it and made it as positive of a situation as possible. The story that he shares in the book, he talked about a lady who wanted to lose a large amount of weight, something like 60, maybe 80 pounds, in 6 months or so. And the medical professionals and people that she talked to told her too big of a goal, too quick of a turnaround, that it wasn't going to happen. And so the lady didn't see herself as someone who needed to diet or someone who needed to lose a particular amount of weight. She saw herself as someone healthy. So every time she got ready to make a decision, she asked herself, what would a healthy person do? So do I grab the candy bar, or do I eat a salad or have a protein shake? Do I veg out in front of the TV, or do I go for a walk and get the heart rate up a little bit? When she wasn't seeing herself as a healthy person, you can imagine what decisions she was making that got her into a state where she needed to lose the weight. But she changed her mindset. And in changing her mindset, she said, I'm going to ask myself all day long. I'm a healthy person. So I'm going to ask myself all day long, what would a healthy person do? And she allowed herself through that one question and answering that question honestly for herself and taking the healthy person action. Not only did she lose the amount of weight that she intended to, she lost more. And she blew everybody's mind that as soon as she walked in the door, they said, Oh my God, I barely recognized you. And this was before she got on the scale. She had obviously lost a significant amount of weight. And when she got on, she absolutely blew their mind. And she said it was no fad diet. It wasn't, any of the hurry up and lose weight, take this pill, take this shot, do any of these things. She changed her mindset and she changed her identity and she saw herself as a healthy person. And then she aligned her actions with that new identity. So, the reason we're talking about systems this week and all week long is if you take the right actions, the results are going to take care of themselves. So she didn't have to focus on the stuff that can get overwhelming. Oh my God, if I don't lose this many pounds this week, I'm going to have extra pounds I have to lose next week. I better go to the gym this many hours. I better do this. I bet it gets overwhelming. It gets frustrating. And then we end up reverting back to the very behaviors that we were trying to get away from. But because she flipped it into the positive and she began to speak over herself that she was a healthy person, and then she allowed her actions to align with that identity, she had an easier road of meeting her goals. The goals took care of themselves because she was working the system and identifying as a healthy person. So I just wanted to end with that. I did hear you guys. I heard you guys sounding off, but just to give you guys one last thing to think about as you go through your day, who are you? Not what are the things I'm caught up in right now? What are the things I really want to get rid of? Why do you want to get rid of them? And how would you identify yourself without those habits that you feel are holding you back? I'm a good communicator. I'm outgoing. I'm a healthy person. I'm kind. I'm whatever it is that you're aspiring to be. Start to see yourself in that role and then ask yourself throughout the day, what would that person do? And then you do that. And you keep building the systems and you keep building the mentality around that new identity, and the results will take care of themselves. All right, Brian. I think it's only fair that you send us off. I'm not sure because I kind of interrupted your your wrap up. So let
No,
me
you
uh, let
came
me
in
take
right
it
on
back to
time.
you and you round us off however you see fit.
No, you came in right on time. I see a dingo was asking, are you on Tuesdays only?
No, we are on Tuesday through Friday, every day at 7:15 a.m. Central. Tuesdays are Transformation Tuesday, and we talk about what true transformation is from different aspects. Wednesdays is Wake Up Wednesday, and we talk about the power of being intentional. Wake up, don't just go through the motions, but be aware and conscious of all the things, all the decisions that you're making throughout the day, because that consciousness will help you determine what you should be doing to move towards the life that you desire. And Thursdays is about gratitude. It's Thankful Thursday, and Fridays are Focus Friday. We overlay that with a theme so that each week we're focusing our conversation around a particular theme. And I ran through those at the top of the show, but this week our theme is systems, and we'll look at it from all those different ways each day. How you build a system, the benefits of having a system, those types of things. What are the different aspects of a system, so that you're putting around you a good framework to make sure that you are accomplishing the things that you desire. So hopefully that helps answer the question.
Oh, that's awesome. So take us home, Cassandra. I'm just floored over here.
All right. Well, we will end where we began, with the near where we began with the quote: "Success is the sum of small efforts repeated day in and day out," by Robert Collier. And all he's saying is bringing in that consistency. the habits that are necessary for you to achieve the things you want out of life. Break those down into those atoms, the smallest common denominator, the smallest action, and repeat that action over and over again until it becomes your default behavior. It just becomes a part of how you show up. And in creating that habit, those routines, you are consistently progressing towards your goals. Success is the sum of small efforts repeated day in and day out. We will be back here tomorrow for Wake Up Wednesday. We'll look at systems from a different point of view at 7:15 a.m. Central. So I invite you guys all back. Bring someone with you. The show is recorded and live on all the places that Brian mentioned. So if you caught it later, feel free to share it, but help us get the word out. Become an ambassador by letting people know that we're having good conversations that are intended to help you live the life that you desire. It is out there for you to have. It is within your reach. It's up to you to go get it, and we want to be here and facilitate that for you. So with that, we're going to sign off for today. We'll be back tomorrow 7:15 a.m. Central for Wake Up Wednesday. Go and have a wonderful rest of your day on purpose. Determine in your mind the type of day that you're going to have and go get it. All right. Thank you guys for being with us. We will see you back here tomorrow.